Hi Nathan, this is Tom. A quick run through for the debate scan sheets. I'm going to show you just a quick batch of these and give you the lowdown on some of the tools you have. I'm going to move all my, let's see where they are here. I have all my my debugging images here, and I'm going to move those back over to the Scan2 folder and clear out my records. Okay, you can enter these manually, and that does work now. You can enter 6 records and enter the student IDs and so forth if you'd like. You can step through these and keep an eye on the number of records. You should have a number here that matches the number of students in your contest. I guess here, this will be the roster count. Okay, I'm going to, as we go through this, of course, you can see the images of the different things. And actually, let me pull in my my originals, make sure they're working just fine. I'm going to go in there and get rid of these and put my originals in, because they have actually additional problems that perhaps have been fixed in these copies. So let me get these all out. Get rid of my blanks and put these back in. Alright, they're pasting back in, and I'll close that down and refresh it. Okay, so there's my demos, and the first thing you want to do is to set up down here. The first time through, I would recommend that you go for maximum speed and let it find any issues that it might have, which would mean you would not prompt for bad teams, bad team IDs or rounds. That's usually the second time through. You would not show the diagnostics. That'll be again for when you run into trouble. I would set the DPI to 100, which is like the maximum speed, and I would set the sensitivity to pretty good high level. 180 is pretty good. 256 is the maximum. Any pixels that average, the red, green, and blue average greater than about 3/4 of their value, 255 is white. So these are very pale, and 128 would be medium gray, and this gets to be a lighter and lighter and lighter gray as you get closer to 256. Okay, I'm going to choose all of these, choose all my records, and I don't have to do anything here. Just hit the scan button and watch it go. It'll give you an idea of like how fast it's going here. We're doing about 3.5 seconds per scan. We have 21 sheets here to scan, and we're on number 5 coming up. You can watch the incoming forms here as they scan through. You will be getting error messages that are off to the right in this page and off to the left side of this page here, due to my somewhat reduced size here. Let me see if I can move that over a little bit, and you can see it a little better. Now my image is a little smaller, and you can see any error messages that happen to pop up here. There will be a few. Now what's going to happen a lot of times, if there's a missing feedback, there's going to be an error message that says it's a default, and it's calculated based on the other scores for that student or for that team. If it has a student who goes twice, A, B, A for the 3 students, it will only accept the first of those. If there's a blank on the sheet, if they just had 2 students go and no 3rd student went twice, it'll pick up on that, because there will be a blank letter and a set of blank scores here on the score sheet, and basically then it will try to infer about everything it can. Okay, now we've gone through the first time, and most of our sheets ran. We can look in the store. These have all been renamed. This one had a default presentation, and if we look at it, pardon me, there's a blank row right here for the presentation score. A little further down, this sheet here had a blank best, and if we turn our filter on, it will show us all of the records here in the student records that go with this sheet. Let me turn the filter on, and it says defined or default best on team, and if the judge doesn't mark the best on the team, it's going to use the scores up here and infer that from the highest score on each team, and that's what it's done here. The default teamwork score, again, it will use the average of the scores on the team for the other scores and like round that up. So if it's 3.3, it'll go to 4 and so forth. So we have a number of these that have taken default values. Here's a default feedback. If you look over here, there's no score down here for the feedback, but it calculated a value for the feedback and it gave a 5 based on all these other scores. So that's all done automatically. Now the things that cause problems are the things that like go into the naming of the file, and the naming of the file up here goes from the team ID and the round number. If you look at these names here, they're named by the round, the affirmative team, and the negative team. And so any of those things will be a more serious problem one will have to deal with. So let's go back to the Scan 2 folder. If we look at this, we see then that we have a student ID here that is malformed. There's two shaded on the second row and none on the third. And the simplest way to do that one is to go ahead and click on the prompt for bad team ID or round. Just click that and hit it. Student ID error, hit run. And you'll have to know what this is supposed to be. Here you can see 525, and that should have been written right above it in this blank. And then just type that in, and it will go ahead and process that one and rename it. Here's a round error, and on the round error, there's no round listed. Assuming you know that, you can go ahead and use the prompt for bad team ID or round, and you just run it again, and it will come up, and you can look and find out what round that was in, and sometimes that really may not matter so much, but it'll help you chase things down if those are correct. And so now it'll process that one. This last one here, we have a completely missing block, which should never happen, but this is what you'll get. You'll get a locator blocks error, and we could go in here and do a copy and paste, or we could edit our image and do that. But overall, that's about it, and that's most of the techniques. I do want to show you the debugging though, so let me go ahead and go to one of the scan files and turn off my filter so all these records reappear. I want to just take one of these files here and show you just what happens when you run this with the diagnostics on. And just for fun, let's kick up the DPI to 100, 200 or something. That'll put the dots a little closer together and make them a little easier to see. Now these are not going to run in 3 seconds. These are going to take a little while to run. So let's go ahead and take this and run it. And you'll see that as it comes up, you'll see the actual blocks become found. There should be 13 of them, including that long one at the top before we're done. And this is going quite slowly because of the DPI and because of the dots, what else? Oh, because of the fact it's going slow because we're actually watching it happen, and it takes longer to plot these than it does to not plot them. Now if you look closely, you can see it finding the fields and finding the filled in areas of the fields, and it should be just about done now. Okay, so it redid that, and now you can zoom in and look a little closer at things. We can move this way over here and actually look down the page and see all the different areas where it looked. This is where it's finding this little set of this line that comes in. It finds this black area here. Here's one where it was looking for a black square and it couldn't find it, so it went a little further down and found it. And it'll keep going down as long as it hasn't reached its number of black squares total, which should be 13. Okay, so now you can see some of the images that it's done. If we go even bigger fraction here, you can see even in more detail the blacks, which are the hits, and the whites, which are the misses. And you notice we're not perfectly centered on our thing. We could actually go in and adjust this. There are some adjustments I can make, and they go into the database. And once those are done, then hopefully they'll actually even be better at hitting those than they are now. And I may go in and do that yet. So that's the debugging mode or the diagnostic mode, but don't do that except when you need to figure out why you can't find the locator blocks. So if you're missing locator blocks or you can't hit them, you can look at that and see what the problem is. Okay, well, that's the show and tell for this, and hope this helps. And but the last thing is that when you have those serious errors that affect the student ID or the round, The rule of thumb is it leaves them in the scan to folder. So in other words, it creates a list of the bad ones, and then it calculates all the values that it can and just sends those others into the store folder where they're considered more or less done. And that's a very organized way to process the list, I think, and I think it'll work very well. Hope you enjoy this. Bye.